Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 7 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 7 math and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter operation with decimals. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter operation with decimals. The lessons we're going to cover today are add and subtract decimals, add and subtract decimals word problems, multiply decimals, multiply decimals and whole numbers word problems. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Here I'm on the grade 8 math. Let's just start with the lesson operations with decimals. Let's just start with the first lesson, that is add and subtract decimals. Zero point 0.26 plus 0.12. Let's just start adding from the ones digit. 6 plus 2 is 8. 2 plus 1 is 3, that is 0.38. Let's just start with the test questions. Add 0.26 plus 0.12. So that is 0.38. Option number 1 is the correct option, that is 0.38. Subtract 54.2 minus 39.6. So let's just start subtracting. We cannot subtract 2 out of 6. We need to borrow 1. Here we have 3 and the borrow makes it 12. Away 6 is 6. We cannot subtract 3 out of 9. So we need to borrow 1. Here we have 4 and 3. 13 take away 9 is 4. And 4 take away 3 is 1. So that is 14.6. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 14.6. Add 74.2 plus 41.7. 7 plus 2 is 9, plus 1 is 5, and 7 plus 4 is 11. That is 115.9. That is 115.9. Option number 1 is the correct option. Subtract 3.5 minus 1.8. 3.5 minus 1.8. So here we have 2 and carry 1. That makes 15. 15 take away 8 is 7. And 2 minus 1 is 1. That is 1.7. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 1.7. Add 9.94 plus 1.42. 4 plus 2 makes 6. 9 plus 4 makes 13. Write 3 and carry 1. 9, 10, and 11. That is 11.36. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 11.36. Subtract 4.42 minus 1.01. 2 minus 1 is 1. 4 minus 0 is 4 and 4. That is 3.41. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 3.41. 0.3 minus 0.3, that makes 0. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. Add and subtract decimal word problems. Let's just start with the test questions. Regan mixed 0.89 grams of salt into a pot of soup she was cooking. Before she served the soup, Regan added 0.1 grams of salt. How much salt did Regan put into soup in all? So 0.89 plus 0.1. So that is 9. 8 plus 1 is 9. 0.1 is the correct option. So the total salt he added is 0.99. Option number 1 is the correct option. It rained 0.8 inches on Monday. On Tuesday, it rained 0.6 inches less than on Monday. How much did it rain on Tuesday? 0.6 inch less than Monday. So 0.8 minus 0.6. 8 minus 6 is 2, that is 0.2 inches. So on Tuesday, it rained 0.2 inches. Option number 1 is the correct option. Stacky had 4.9 grams of pepper. Then she used 4.6 grams of the pepper to make some scrambled eggs. How much pepper does Stacky have left? So 4.9 minus 4.6. 9 minus 6 is 3, that is 0.3 grams. Option number 1 is the correct option, that is 0.3 grams. Option number 1 is the correct option. And peg two pumpkins. The first pumpkin weighted 5.7 pounds and the second pumpkin weighted 2.6 pounds. How much did the two pumpkins weigh at all together? 5.7 plus 2.6. 1 plus 6 is 13, right? 3 and carry 1. That is 8.3 pounds. That is 8.3 pounds. Option number 1 is the correct option. A bakery ordered 7.4 pounds of brown sugar. The next week, the bakery used 4.55 pounds of its baking cake. How much brown sugar does the bakery have left? So 7.4 minus, that is 2.9 pounds. Option number 2 is the correct option. 2.9 pounds it is. A carpenter bought a piece of wood that was 0.8 meters long. Then she sawed 0.1 meters off the end. How long is the piece of wood now? Point 8 minus 0.1 is 0.7. Option number 2 is the correct option. A construction company bought 0.1 tons of gravel and 0.4 tons of sand. How many tons of material did the company buy in all? So, which is the correct option? That is 0.5 tons. Option number 1 is the correct option. Axel weighted two colored metal balls during a science class. The green ball weighted 0.42 pounds and the red ball weighted 0.15 pounds. If Axel places both balls on the scale at the same time, what will the scale read? 0.42 plus 0.15. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by you today. Let me just move on to next lesson. Multiply decimals. Let's just start with the lesson. Use the grid to find the missing number. 0.9 times the missing number is 0.8. So 9 columns are shaded in and 9 columns are shaded blue. Zero point 0.9 times 0.9 makes 0.81. Let's just start with the test questions. Use the grid to fill in the missing number. 0.9 times what number makes 0.21? 0.3 times 0.7 makes 0.21. Option number 2 is the correct option. 'Use the grid to fill in the missing number. 0.7 times 0.7 times 0.4 makes 0.28. Option number 1 is the correct option. Zero point 0.7 times 0.4 makes 0.28. Option number 1 is the correct option. Use the grid to fill in the missing number. 0.7 times 0. What number makes 0.63? 0.7 times 0.9 makes 0.63. Option number 2 is the correct option. Use the grid to fill in the missing number. 0.5 times 0.5 makes 0.25. Option number 1 is the correct option. Use the grid to fill in the missing number. 0.8 times 0.4 is 0.32. Option number 2 is the correct option. Use the grid to fill in the missing number. 0.5 times 0.5 times 0.7 is 0.35. That is 0.7. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. That is multiply decimals and whole number. Let's just start with the test questions. Lucy walks 0.2 miles on each trip to break the park. How far will Lucy walk if she makes 9 trips to the park? So 0.2 times 9 is 1.8 miles. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 1.8 miles. Option number 1 is the correct option. Each coin weighs 3.5 grams. How much do 8 coins weigh altogether? So you have to do 3.5 times 8. 8 times 5 is 40, write 0, carry 4. 8 times 3 is 24, 25, 26, 28. So 28 grams it is. Option number 1 is the correct option. Option number 1 is the correct option, 28 grams. A teddy bear maker used 9.6 ounces of stuffing for each bear. How many ounces will he need to use for 6 bears? So you have to do 9.6 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Write 6 and carry 3. 9 times 6 is 54 and 357. So one is option number 2 is the correct option. That is 57.6. 57.6 ounces. Option number 2 is the correct option. Each bottle of orange juice contain 4.1 fluid of juice. If Jane buy 5 fluid ounces of juice, will she get in total? 5 times 1 is 5 and 5 times 4 is 20. That is 20.5. Option number 2 is the correct option. A certain brand of apple juice contains 5.3 fluid of ounces per carton. If Jake buy 10 cartons, how many fluid ounces of juice will he get in total? That is 53 fluid ounces. Option number 2 is the correct option. A chemist puts 0.3 liters of liquid in each of four beakers. How much liquid is there in total? Option number 2 is the correct option. That is 1.2 liters. Jonas' science class places weights on a scale during an experiment. Each weight weighs 0.4 kilograms. If the class puts two weight on the scale at the same time, what will the scale read? 0.4 times 2 is 0.8 kilograms. Option number 1 is the correct option. Kaya hikes a 1.6-mile trail each month. How many miles will Kaya hike in 10 months? So, which is the correct option? 10 times 1.6 is 16 miles. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So, we were working on grade 7 math. Chapter we were working on is operations with decimals. The lessons we have covered track decimals, word problems, multiply decimals, and whole number word problems. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. So please make sure before the session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did until next session. So need more help with any of the lessons, you can simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help, or either you can write them down in the chat box. I'm here to answer questions and confusions if you have. So any questions you can please ask if you have any. Any questions? Okay, then that's all